In this video, I'll show you how I recreate the cinematic desert landscape from a Fern video. You're gonna learn how to create the terrain, add cinematic mist, and set your cycle settings so you can render faster. This is part 1 from a series of landscape videos that I'll be uploading on the exclusive tutorial section from my community. So, if you want to learn how to make cinematic shots like this, the link is in the description. Now, let's start. Okay, so first, make sure you are in 1920 by 1080 resolution, here in the output properties, and frame rate 24 frames per second. Obviously, you can change this depending on your preference, but in my case, I'm just doing a tutorial. I don't need a lot of quality, so I'm just going to stick with this. Then here, leave everything normal, and here in the render tab, we are going to be using cycles. So here in render engine, change from Eevee to cycles, and then from supported to experimental, and from CPU to GPU. Then to work freely on the viewport, which is this view right here, I'm going to set the max samples to 50 and activate denoise. And we are going to touch the other settings later. So first, what I'm going to do is take a screenshot of this just to have a reference. So here in Blender, to import our reference, you have to press Shift A and then go to image and then press reference. Here just select your reference and click this button and you will have something like this. It will automatically rotate everything so you see the reference from the view you were. This is something we actually don't want, so I'm going to click here and then go to object properties and then reset all the rotations, and maybe the X rotation, I'm going to set it to minus 90. 90. And then press 1 to have my reference roughly right here. And now I'm going to press Shift A, mesh, and I'm going to add a cone. And this cone has, as you can see, a lot of vertices right here. We have to lower it down from 32 to 4. So it's actually a pyramid. And now we can press this button, which is toggle X-ray, just to see both the cone and the reference. And once we did this, I would like this pyramid to have like a size of an actual pyramid. So as you can see, this is only 2 meters tall. We actually need this to be a lot taller. So I'm just going to press 136 meters. So it's actually super big. And now we can select our reference and also scale it up a lot. Scale this up a lot to somewhere right here, and then G-seed, and I'm going to position it roughly right here. And now I have to align the pyramid. So first I'm going to align the tip of the pyramid right here, and then I'm going to go to edit mode by pressing tab and then 1 on my keyboard, and then I'm going to select this vertex right here and then press Shift S and cursor to selected. So the 3D cursor is here, and now I exit edit mode, pressing tab again, and then press right click and set origin to 3D cursor. Basically, the origin is like an anchor point, and now all the rotations and the scale is going to happen from here. I'm going to press S and Shift Z to make the pyramid like this, and then I'm going to rotate it pressing R and then Z and try to align basically the rotation RX and S Shift Z. And yeah, I think this is kind of what we want. RZ and RX, and yeah, something like this. Now, if we press the middle mouse button to rotate, we are going to see everything cut. That's because we have to go here to view and then increase the end value here. So just add another 0. And now we will be able to see everything. And now let's eliminate the reference right here. Let's disable the X-ray mode. Now we know that this is like the right size. So now it's just matter of changing the camera angle and all that stuff. So I'm just going to align this back to the floor so it's straight, and then any angle that this has on the final render will be dependent on the camera angle actually. So now let's press Ctrl A and apply a scale. The reason to apply a scale to almost everything after scaling an object or something like that is because most of the effects in Blender are calculated with the scale. So if your scale is not applied, then all the effects are going to work pretty bad. So now I would like to position my camera for the first time. So I'm going to press Shift A and then camera, and now press Ctrl Alt 0 to align the camera to my view. And now I'm going to drag my cursor here to this little area until it changes to this cross right here, and then I'm going to click and drag basically to make another window. And now this window will have my camera view, and in this window, if I press 0 on my numpad, we'll have like my normal view. I'm going to scale the camera. It's not going to change anything visual, but it's going to help me know where the camera is basically. I'm also going to go here to the data properties of the camera, and I'm going to change the focal length to 80, and I'm going to go here to the viewport display right here, and I'm going to increase the passport to 1. I'm also going to enable thirds and center just for now, so we have a guide to position our camera. Then I'm going to activate the depth of field, and I'm going to select this cone right here, and everything else just leave it normal. We're going to go to the object properties, and I'm going to set the Y rotation to 0, the Z rotation to 0, so we are looking straight here, and the X rotation to 90 just to have like a good start. And then I'm going to press G, X, Z, and Y basically to try to align this as well as I can. And as you can see, if I go back, then the pyramid will disappear in the camera view. That is a similar issue that we had earlier. You just have to go to the camera and then increase the end right here and add another 0. And now we will be able to see now RX. And now I'm going to add an empty and scale it up right here. And now I'm going to select the camera and shift click on the empty, and then Control P and object. And now every time I rotate the empty, the camera will rotate, like will orbit around it. And that's because I wanted to make like an angle like this, like the final Fern video. And now I can just delete the empty. Nope. I have to select the camera first, and then right click and parent and clear parent and keep transformation. Now I can delete the empty without problem. Now I'm going to move the camera even further and press RX. And yeah, I basically want the pyramid to be in this square right here, and the tip of the pyramid to be here in this intersection. And let's see how it looks without the guides and without overlays, which is pressing this button right here. I think that's fine. Maybe closer, and yeah, something like this should be fine. Now we have to work on the terrain. In order to create the terrain, you need an add-on that is already pre-installed with Blender. You just have to go here to Edit, Preferences, and then go to Get Extensions, and here search for Landscape. And here where it says Add Landscape, a button will appear here that will say Install. You just have to install it. And now if you press Shift A and Mesh, you have an extra option right here, which is landscape. But before that, let's go to edit mode, press 3 and select this face right here at the bottom. And now Shift S and cursor to selected. So basically now when I create the landscape, it will appear here at the base of the pyramid. And now to add the landscape, you have to press Shift A, Mesh, and then landscape, and these options will appear and a new object right here, which is our landscape right here. So let me delete it. So first I'm going to hide this just to be able to work more comfortably. And now Shift A and landscape. And now dot on your numpad, and we will be able to see the landscape. So this is the default landscape. You have to go to operator presets and select dunes, and this will give you a preset that is already similar to a desert. So what I recommend you to do is increase here the subdivisions, let's say to 2. So you multiply this number to 2 and you'll see that this is more detailed now. And obviously the mesh size is pretty low. So it's only 2 meters by 2 meters. We need this to be a lot larger. So I'm going to multiply this by 100, and now we will be able to see this. Let's unhide the cone, and if you miss the settings right here, you just have to press F9. No, it didn't work. So you just have to go here to create and this landscape main, and you'll have all the settings. So let's multiply this by 2 again, and now the results are not going to be real time. You have to regenerate. So we still need a lot of landscape. So let's make this 4000. Oh yeah, okay, so now it's better. So now that I know the mesh size, I guess I actually need the results to be real time for this process. So I'm just going to delete this again. Sorry. And yeah, I'm going to go here to landscape again and make this 4000. Let's go. And now I'm going to increase here. I'm just going to increase the maximum to 10 and then increase this. And it will increase the height of the texture. So let's lift it up to the max. Something like this. I think I need 20 right here. And then I'm going to increase this to 15. And that should be it. Now I'm going to increase the noise size. Let's press 100. And yeah, as you can see, it's becoming like less noisy. So let's try 200. And as you can see, this is better. Let's try 250. I think I liked 220, and let's leave it there and maybe increase this to 20 maybe. Now we can move the random seed here to get different effects, but it's pretty similar anyways, so you don't get a lot of changes from here. And I think this is enough. I'm going to increase the subdivisions just a little bit more, so it's going to be 128 times 3. Okay, that should be it. And now I think this is good enough, so I'm going to exit this view right here, and now I'm going to go to edit mode, and I'm going to press 1 to select the vertices, and I'm going to select here the proportional editing. And basically how proportional editing works, which is this icon right here, is if you select any vertices and you press G, it will create like a circle, like a zone of influence. As you can see, it is right here, and it's going to move everything inside there. I don't know if that's the actual explanation, but if you want to increase this, you just have to scroll down, and if you want to decrease this, you have to scroll up. So in this case, I want to lift this area right here. So I'm going to select this. There we go. So basically I want to increase this area, so I'm going to press G and Shift C and increase this just a little bit. And then I'm going to select this part right here and G C just to reveal some of the cone right here. And let's press here. And I want to basically increase all this area right here. And then here at the back, maybe more at the back. You see it, and make this bigger. And I want like some sort of horizon. And this should be good. I think I like it. And now to make the scene a little bit lighter, so it renders a little bit faster, you have to enable here the show overlays and also change to wireframe mode. And then go to edit mode, pressing tab, and then select all the visible area right here. And then press Ctrl plus to expand the selection. And now you want to go here to the data properties, and here where it says vertex group, you have to add a new vertex group, name it mask, and now assign. And now basically you want to go to, I'm going to go back to solid mode right here and disable overlays. You have to go to the modifiers tab and then select a mask modifier, and here select your mask. And now we will only see the things that we actually want to see, and this will make the render a bit lighter instead of just deleting all the extra geometry, because in case you need it back, you can just disable this and you will get your ground back, or maybe erase here the vertex group and everything is more controllable. So I think I like this. I now going to work on the HDRI. Basically an HDRI is like a 360 image that casts light on your scene. Let me show you how it works. You have to go here to the HDRIs, and this section right here is from the Blender Kit add-on. I highly recommend that you download the Blender Kit add-on. You basically have to go to blenderkit.com and then here on subscribe, and you have a free plan with a lot of models, a lot of materials. It's really useful even in its free form, but sometimes I purchase the monthly subscription and it's really worth it. It speeds up a lot of things while you're building your scene. So once you install it and follow the tutorials they have in order to install and all that stuff, you will have this right here, and then just click this icon right here to show the HDRIs. And basically here you have a search bar, and you want to search for a sky and then click enter. And now we will have a lot of sky textures, and we basically want a sky that is pretty. So I don't remember the exact one I used while I was practicing. Oh, as you can see here, we have a lot of locked ones because I have the free plan. I used to have the paid plan. Now I switched back to the free because I don't know, I don't need it as much. Here you have filters and you can select free first. And now you will see all the free HDRIs. And now let's look for one that has pretty sky, similar to the one from the Fern video. Okay, so there's a lot of skies and I don't really know which one. And this is something that can happen to you. You can get overwhelmed trying to find the perfect sky. So I'm just going to click the first one that seems like pretty reasonable, like this one. Yeah, I'm just not going to bother. And then I can change if I need to. So I'm not going to work on the HDRI yet. First, I'm going to select the terrain and go to edit mode and press A and then U and cube projection. Now I'm going to press 0 on my numpad just to see this part right here. And now I'm going to isolate this right here, pressing /key. Just as a tip, every time you're working with materials and you know you are going to change to material preview, please isolate the object, pressing /key on your numpad, because you are going to save yourself from a lot of crashes that way. And also, don't save your file where you are in material preview. That will also crash Blender. So if you want to save your file, just go to solid mode and press Ctrl S, and that's it. Now, what I wanted to do is texture this floor right here, this terrain that we have right here. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back to the Blender Kit add-on, and this is why it's super useful. You have to go here to materials, and now let's search for a sand material. And we are going to have a lot of sand materials, I think I select this one right here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they are all pretty good. So let's just select this one, and just by clicking it, as you can see, it applies the material on your object. And now I'm going to change this view right here to be the shader editor. I used to work with the shader editor, like pulling this up and working on the shader editor here, but I prefer a lot more this. I don't know, I think I liked more the space, or I don't know, it's a lot more comfortable to me. So here we're going to work with the material because, as you can see, it's pretty washed out. We are losing a lot of details, and that's because this terrain is super big, and we have the scale here to 0.1. I don't know why. So by default it's going to be at 1, which is still pretty bad. So what you want to do is decrease the scale right here until you have some detail like this. I think I like this. So we have some detail here, and now if we go to the normal map, it's also pretty low, so it should be 1. And as you can see, we are starting to gain more detail. I'm going to increase this to 0.6, and then here maybe the scale of this to 2. And I'm going to go back to the scale and play a little bit more with this. Somewhere right here, I think it's fine. So I'm going to go back to solid mode and then press /key again to bring the cone back. And I'm going to select the cone and press /key again to isolate it. And now we are going to texture this cone right here. So for that, let's go to the material preview. So now I'm going to go to Blender Kit and then look for a brick texture right here. So in this case, I want this one. So I'm just going to click it and it will be applied. Now I'm going to go to edit mode and press U and keep projection. And obviously this is not the right way to unwrap a cone, basically. So what I'm going to do is go to the UV editor and then press tab on my numpad. And here, I don't know why I'm not looking at the right stuff, so I'm going to search for brick color right here, and there you go. So now I'm going to press 3 and select this right here, and now I'm going to basically select here the snapping and change it from increment to grid, and now G, and I have the proportional editing applied, so I'm just going to deactivate it, and G and then Control to snap this right here, and then GX until this looks straight. There you go. And now let's select this one also, and then G, and then here, and here, and here, and GX until it looks somewhat aligned. So I think this is good enough, and it looks good from here. Sorry, this is not the right way to do it, but I don't care. Now I changed back to the UV editor to basically go here to the mapping and increase the scale to something like this. Let's say 10. Now I have to add like a golden tip right here. So I'm just going to go to edit mode and try to press Ctrl R, and I can't do a loop cut. So I'm just going to press 1 on my numpad, and then I'm going to press K to select the knife tool. So I'm just going to click here and press X to make this more precise, and then Y, and then X, and then Y again. So just press enter, and I don't know why this isn't like good. So I'm just going to press 1 and select both of these, and then M and merge at center. So now let's press 2 and select this loop cut by pressing Alt click, and then let's go to the camera view and G twice to move along this thing right here, and we want just a tip, so something like this. So now let's press 3 and go to wireframe mode and select all these faces here at the top and add a new material, pressing this plus icon and then new and then assign. Now if we go to material preview, we are going to see that this doesn't have the brick material. So we need to apply a gold material. So let's search for gold right here and let's look for a nice gold material like this one. Just click it and then we have to play with the scale and the normal as always, just to have like more details right here. I think I like this. And then here it's the normal, so 3.5. So now let's go back to the 3D viewport right here. And let's go back to solid mode right here and press /key again to see everything. And now we are going to preview our work for the first time. So I think all these settings right here are fine. So let's go to render view and it looks horrible. That's because of the HDRI. So you have to go to the shader editor and then change here from object to world and you will have something like this. And now let's lower this to 0.5 to see more of the details from the sky. And now let's rotate this on the Z axis until we have like a nice sky at the background. Okay, I hate this HDRI. So I'm just going to delete it and look for a new one. HDRI, and let's look for sky again. And let's look for one that has some nice clouds. I think this one. Let's try this one. And let's try, 2K is fine. Let's add this. It's downloading. Okay, at least I like the sky a little bit more. We have to hide, like here you can see the ocean. We have to hide that with the X rotation to somewhere right here. And then the Z rotation until we have some nice sky. Okay, so I think I like this part of the sky right here. And I don't want the HDRI to affect the lighting right here. So I'm basically going to press Shift D and then add a mix shader and then add a light path node. Light path. There you go. And by the way, I'm adding nodes by pressing Shift A. Now I'm going to add a sky texture. There you go. And now I'm going to plug the sky texture into the upper background. And now I'm going to plug this to the top and plug this to the bottom. And then the East camera ray as the factor. And then the mix shader to the surface. And now the upper background shader controls the lighting of the world, and then the one below, it's kind of the exposure of the sky. So maybe something like 0.8 is fine. So we have some details here on the clouds. And now let's set this to 1 and let's work here. I think I like 10 of sun elevation, and let's lower the sun intensity to 0.5. Let's lower the ozone to 0. And then the sun rotation, I want like a highlight right here and then some shadows to this side. So I think something like this is fine. And I think I want like 8 of elevation. That's fine. And now let's decrease this to 0.5. I think 0.5 is good. 0.3. Yeah. We have a lot more detail here with the 0.3 and then this. I think this lighting is good enough. So yeah, basically now what I'm going to do is go to the view layer, and here where it says data, I will activate mist. And then I will go here to shading, and here in render pass, I'm going to change it from combined to mist right here. And now everything is going to look bad. Don't worry, you have to go to the world, set the start to 0 and the depth to something high, like 4000. And now we will have this gradient right here basically the black parts are going to have less mist and the whiter parts are going to have more mist. So let's set this to 5000 and I think this is good enough. So now we will change back to combined and we are not going to see anything. So you just have to go to solid mode, save your file and now press F12 to make a render. But first let's optimize this a little bit because now the settings are like super high and we don't need that. So let's lower the max samples to 200 and the noise threshold to 0.2. Actually, let's put this to 1 and then this to 50 because we are just going to make a preview render. We don't need this to be super high quality. So then here the diffuse and glossy to 12, transmission to 0 because we don't have any transmissive materials. Transparent, I don't know, we don't have anything transparent. I'm going to leave this like this anyways. And then volume, I think I won't use volume, but I will try. And then, yeah, fast GI approximation. Let's set this to 2 and this will make your renders faster and it will look practically the same anyways. And then here in performance, you have to open it. And then here compositor, change the device from CPU to GPU and it will use your GPU to do the compositing effects and that should be faster. Then final render, let's check persistent data and this will make that once you render your animation, it will be faster because it has to do less calculations before every render. And then let's just leave this right here. I didn't change the contrast right here because I think we don't actually need it. Let's see how it looks with high contrast. Yeah, it looks better, but I don't know if I really want that base contrast. Yeah, at least medium. That's fine. So yeah, now let's make a render pressing F12 and it rendered super fast, basically because we just need like a preview basically. So here let's change this tab from 3D viewport to compositor and enable use nodes. And then here change from 3D viewport to image editor. And then here look for render, okay. What is the name here? Okay, image. So I have to look here for image. And now we have our render right here. And now here we will be able to preview all the things we do here. So let's just press Shift A and add a mix color. And then let's add a color ramp and put it right here. And then connect the mist to the factor and then the color ramp to the factor of the mix color right here. Now let's set this to a bluish tone, something like this. And now we can manipulate the mist right here. I think we want something like this. And then let's lower this so we get our sky back a little bit. And now that we have this, let's add some other things to make this better. So let's press Shift A and add a glare node. Let's put this right here. Let's change this from streaks to fog glow and then the quality from medium to high and then the glare size to 1. The highlights, let's reduce the threshold to 0.6 and the smooth to 1. Yeah, I think this is a lot. So 0.8 maybe to reduce this and then the strength maybe to 0.8. And the size to 9 and then this to 0.9. So yeah, we added some glow right here basically. And now let's add a lens distortion and this basically makes like this effect on the edges. It adds chromatic aberration. So you have to set this to pretty low values to 0.01 and then the dispersion basically does this lens effect. So you also have to set this pretty low to 0.01 and then check here fit so we don't have any weird edges right here. And now this doesn't look that good. So let's add a brightness and contrast node here before the mix color. And let's increase the contrast to 2 or maybe even more. Yeah, 10 looks fine. And then hue, saturation and value. And I want more saturation like 1.05. And then maybe less hue like 0.48 to make this like more orange 0.49, and I think this is fine. Maybe less brightness, like -1, and yeah, now we have like a lot more contrast basically. And now this is before and this is the after, so maybe I want a little bit more mist, and let's lower the saturation here to 0.2, and this is fine. You can also make this like something like this, and this will be closer to the Fern video, but I think I like this because it gives like an orange teal looks. So yeah, this is pretty much done. I want to go here to the 3D viewport and basically do like a couple adjustments. And now I also want to experiment adding some fog. So I'm just going to add a cube and scale it up a lot, and then go to edit mode and select this face right here, and then GY, and I want to cover the entire scene. So GY and GX, and there you go, GX. I basically want a cube that covers the entire scene. I'm going to lower this down, GSeed, okay, and then GSeed right here, and this is fine. Now let's press Ctrl A and apply scale, and now I'm going to go to the shader editor and go to object, new, and let's name this volume. And now let's delete this and add Shift A and volume scatter node and connect this to the volume. And now we have to set the density to something pretty low, so 0.005. Let's add another 0, okay, and now 3. Sorry, so in order for this to look better, we have to go to render and increase the bounces for the volume, and this will look better. And let's decrease this again to 0.1 maybe, or maybe add another 0 and then put 5 here. Yeah, this adds some atmosphere. Let's put this to 0.4. The anisotropy, I don't understand the anisotropy if you ask me. I just increase it, and then some orange color, and then 0.3 of saturation, so it's not that saturated. So this is the before and after. Maybe we want even less, so 0.3, 0.1. Yeah, let's try with 2, and that's it. And the anisotropy is 0.4, it's fine. And okay, I think I like that. Now going into animation, first I'm going to go to the shader editor actually, and go to world right here, and go to the mapping of the sky texture right here. Not the sky texture, this one, the HDRI, sorry. And then I'm going to basically hide everything here and go to render view just to see the sky. Now I'm going to go to my first frame, and I'm going to add a keyframe here. While hovering over this, I'm going to press I to add a keyframe on the seated location, and then I'm going to go to the last frame right here, and I'm going to move this a little bit to the right, maybe 2 degrees. So here I'm going to add a 2. And then I'm going to press I again, and now I'm going to lift this up and click here just to see the keyframes right here, and I'm going to press T and linear so it doesn't ramp up in speed, and that should be good. If you want to preview the movement, you have to go here to playback, and instead of here sync to audio, you have to press frame dropping, so you will see the movement like in real time but with a lower amount of frames, and as you can see it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to bring back the cone and the landscape, and now I'm going to go to the 3D viewport, select my camera, and then press I, and then I'm going to go to the last frame, and then G, see it twice, something like this, and then I again, and now select both T and linear, and I also want to add some shake to this, so using the camera shakeify add-on, that if you don't have it, you have to go to edit preferences and then get extensions and camera shakeify, and then you install it. But basically this allows you to have some shake to your camera, so you just have to press here the plus icon and you have some presets. In my case, I'm going to select the close-up, and now I'm going to reduce the influence because right now it's like it moves a lot, so I'm just going to reduce the influence to 0.1, and now I will have this zoom in with a little bit of shake to it. It looks good. I think the last keyframe I want like even closer, and then I again, and now T linear, and let's see. Yeah, it looks good to me. And now the sky will be moving and all that stuff. So before we actually hit render animation, I want to make another render just to preview if I like the fog or not. So I'm just going to press F12. Okay, I think I like it with the fog. It looks pretty good. Maybe I can, increase even more the contrast. So I'm just going to go to image editor, and we have this. Yeah, it already good. It already looks pretty good. But let's go to the compositor and maybe increase even more the contrast right here. And maybe you can also add, like at the end, another hue, saturation, and value, and increase the saturation just a little bit. 1.1? No, that's a lot. 1.03, and that's it. So this is without effects and this is with effects. As you can see, it looks a lot better, like it's helping a lot the compositor. And we have this mist right here, similar to the Fern video, and some atmosphere. I like it. And some glare right here. It's pretty good. So now, if you want to render this animation, you can't do that with the settings that we just put right here, because the final render will have a lot of noise, basically. So here you have to reduce the noise threshold, especially if you're talking about a video. So I'm just going to reduce it to 0.02. I don't understand what is noise threshold. I just know that the lower the number, the less flickering my animation will have, and the less noise it will have. Pretty much the same with samples, but this time the other way around. So the higher the number, the better. So in my case, I'm going to set it to 200. And in this case, it was good for me, like the 200. And here in the denoise settings, instead of open image, I'm going to select optics. You can select whatever. I think, you should select whatever works best for you. But the normal advice is that if you are using a NVIDIA graphics card, you should use optics. And in my case, I'm using a NVIDIA graphics card. So yeah, that's why I'm using optics. Then the max bounces are fine for me. And the fast GI is also really good. Additionally, you can set simplify here. And here in the render section, you can set the subdivisions to the normal values right here. So 6 and 1. And then texture limit. In case you have like a super high quality texture, you have to lower it down to 4K or maybe even 2K. And then we already did here the compositor and the persistent data, and that should be it. So now here in the output properties, here you have to select here in the output a folder where you want the frames of your animation to be exported, and then here select PNG and leave everything normal, and then go to render and render animation. So at the end, you will have something like this, all your frames of your animation in a PNG format. And now you have to select here file and new and general. And it will say here if you want to save the file, and you just press yes, save the file. And now that you're in a new scene, you just have to go here to the plus icon, video editing, and here video editing. And now here in the sequencer, you have to press Shift A and image sequence and look for the folder where you have your frames. You have to press A and then set the end frame to 250 in this case. So it has to be the same number as your last frame, and then add image strip. And here you will have your animation. And if you want to export it, so obviously you want this to match the resolution you originally had. So if you're working with 4K and 30 frames, obviously you have to set this before importing the image sequence. Once that is done, you have to select another folder to export your final animation, your MP4 animation. And then here on file format, change it from PNG to FFmpeg video, and encoding to Matroska to MPEG-4, and then the output quality from medium quality to high quality. And now again you have to press render and render animation. So this is the final result. Remember that this is part 1 from a series of landscape videos that I'll be uploading on the exclusive tutorial section from my community. So if you want to learn how to make cinematic shots like this, the link is in the description. Bye bye!